Hi, I'm Dawn. Let's look at how to deliver more effective PowerPoint presentations using Rehearse with Coach. In PowerPoint, the Rehearse with Coach option features tools to help you practice your presentations. It gives you real-time feedback on things like the pace and the tone. It lets you know if you're using filler words or if there are other words that you're using repeatedly. Additionally, it will prompt the presenter when they are reading from the slide, which is a big no-no, but it happens too often. Rehearse with Coach also checks for non-inclusive language and profanity, and a big bonus is that if you use PowerPoint for the web, it will also provide body language feedback. To rehearse your presentation in the PowerPoint desktop app, you'll find Rehearse with Coach in the Slideshow tab. When we pick it, it will open the presentation in a full screen view, similar to a slideshow. Let's try Rehearse with Coach from the web so we can also look at the body language feedback. We find this option once again under Slideshow, and here is Rehearse with Coach. Make sure that the body language option is selected if you'd also like this feedback. And take a moment to review the coach settings. So here you can see what are some of the options that it will check for in your presentation. Turn off any feedback options that aren't valuable to you. Let's get started. It's time to start rehearsing. The first aspect about the body language feedback is it will tell you things about whether or not you are engaging with your audience. Maybe you're sitting back too far. And in this case, it will typically prompt you and tell you to move closer to the screen. Or you may be doing things that are blocking your face. It could simply be moving your hand in front of your face, or maybe you're reading some content that will keep you from engaging with your audience. So that is also something that you are being prompted for. Other body language feedback might include things like turning away from the camera, looking down, or other things where you are simply not engaging with that camera. All of this will show up in a rehearsal report that displays once we complete the Rehearse with Coach feature. If you don't need the body language feedback, you can simply turn off the camera. Let's continue with Rehearse with Coach. We have to be careful about filler words like and like and so and But the nice thing is that we'll be prompted when we're using these. So this gives us a lot of helpful feedback. There also could be other words that we're using that are simply repetitive. Maybe it's a phrase that you use frequently, or we might say, when you want to deliver a fantastic presentation, well, to be an effective and fantastic presenter, these are things to watch out for. And once again, it's finding those filler words. Reading from a slide is one of the biggest sins in PowerPoint. So for instance, if I start reading this, at Contoso, we empower organizations to foster collaborative thinking to further drive workplace innovation. By closing the loop and leveraging agile frameworks, I could continue. There are a couple things that it's finding for me. First of all, you might notice that I was pretty monotone in that, and so we'll see that when we look at that rehearsal report. Additionally, it was prompting that I was reading from slides, and there may be words that it finds that could have been pronounced a little bit better. So once again, if we're looking for having a really fantastic presentation, there's some, you want to have it be really fantastic and you want people to really like it. Well, you want to give the big picture on the subject. You want to explain how all the individual topics fit together, and you also want to make sure that you're defining your subject matter and identifying your audience. So if it's men and women, who are those people in your audience? And you can continue. Notice it's also flagging for non-inclusive language, and it told me to slow down. However, we might have the reverse problem, whether it's monotone or being too slow in our pace. So when you are wanting to present a really fantastic PowerPoint presentation, make sure that you clarify the goal for the audience, provide information in other formats, add charts and graphs to illustrate data. And here again, it's finding that I'm reading from the slides. All of this is excellent feedback. So whether you are simply rehearsing without the camera, or you include this really powerful artificial intelligence feature, all of these will give you excellent feedback. So let's see what happens when we wrap up this rehearsal. I'll simply escape, and here is my rehearsal report. Review this to see where you could make your improvements. Perhaps it's that you were spending too much time on individual slides, or you're talking too fast or too slow. You can review your pace. So for instance, here it found I was speaking too fast, and it actually can tell you exactly at what time frame that would be. That would also be a situation where you might be talking too slow. Here are the filler words that I was using too often. It didn't pick up on how fantastic my presentation was, but it did find or remind me that I was using a word like really too often. It also flagged a few words that maybe I need to work on or practice with, and I can even practice them from this report. So that becomes really interesting. Because we can't print the rehearsal report at this point, it might be helpful for you to grab some screenshots of that. Let's continue in this report. So here we have our flagging for any phrases that might be offensive or things that you want to be aware of. As well, you can see here pitch. So this is the monotone part of it, and this can give us some really useful information. Now let's look at that body language feedback. This is really an incredible AI tool because look what happens. You can actually not only see where you can make improvements, but it actually captures those times when you might have been looking away or would be a better option, or when I was blocking my view or blocking my face, and even when I was too far away or more engaging by being closer to the camera. All of this can be really helpful. Originality, that's the issue with reading from the slides. And how useful is this? The report even tells you where you were reading, and so this is something that you could improve on. It might not be only that you want to change what you say, but changing the content of your slides so that it doesn't encourage you to be reading that, simplifying some of that content. Each one of these areas of the report provides you with additional help topics, areas where you can learn more about how you can improve your rehearsal and your delivery of your presentation. Once you're ready, you can rehearse again and continue improving your presentations in PowerPoint. The next time you have a PowerPoint presentation, make sure you build in time to take advantage of Rehearse with Coach so you will be even more successful in delivering your PowerPoint presentations. To learn more ways to be productive with Microsoft PowerPoint or to join my tips newsletter, visit thesoftwarepro.com/PowerPoint. If this training was helpful, please subscribe to this channel for other time-saving software tips. Thanks for watching.